Well, the committee found that the North Sea is a very busy place. There's a lot of traditional activity like shipping and fishing, but there's also oil and gas, wind turbines, for example. And as well as that, the environment itself is coming under a lot of pressure from human activity, but also from issues like the rise in sea temperature. And it's about how you manage the tensions between all those that was really the focus of our report. Well, what we found on the committee was that there's quite a lot of data around about the North Sea, but it tends to be very specific, and it's been gathered by individuals or organisations for their own purposes, and they're actually not very good at sharing it. And what we need is a single database so that you can get much better use out of the data once it's collected, and that helps you to establish exactly what's happening now, and more importantly in many ways, to predict what we're going to have to do in the future. When the committee looked at recent events in the North Sea, what we observed is that bouts of cooperation tend to come as a result of some crisis or some bad event which has occurred in the North Sea. Now, what we would like to see is a more strategic approach, one where there's some genuine political leadership being shown, not just in the UK, but across the member states, to try and treat the North Sea in the same way, for example, that you treat a sea basin. So you look at it as a whole, and that does require political cooperation, for example, through the creation of a North Sea Ministerial Conference. And it requires that to be done on a scale that really hasn't been done before. The subcommittee heard that in many countries it's local or regional authorities who are taking the lead in what happens in their maritime areas. In the case of England, local authorities are not really so heavily involved, and we think that's regrettable. So the committee would certainly like to see a way in which English local authorities can be as involved in maritime policy as, for example, their Scottish counterparts. In previous work that the committee's done, we've evidenced that one of the ways to ensure that we have a secure, affordable and environmentally sustainable energy supply is to work together across European borders. And certainly being an island, connectors across the North Sea are particularly important for the UK. But at the moment, all the individual countries around the North Sea are doing their own thing in terms of energy policy, and there's an awful lot to be gained from working together, for example, for creating a grid of electricity rather than simply connecting back into your own member state. So we'd like to see much more work being done to create that sort of European energy grid. Some of that work is highly technical, but it does need a new focus in order to make sure that it happens.